Hello everyone, it's Monday night and it's the 24th of October and it's Making It Monday and I'm Kath. Got all those right, yes. So I'm hoping that there'll be a few people joining me tonight. We've got a lovely project to make and I've had a lovely day preparing and sewing and working hard. And I hope you have too. The weather's been fabulous here today. Hi Gemma, hi. And yeah, after a weekend of almost constant rain, we've had a really lovely sunny day today. It's been really lovely. So I hope you've had a good day where you are as well. And it's lovely to see some people joining us now. So yeah, we're going to bring you this week's Making It Monday. It's the last in the series of Halloween themed projects, and we are on the 24th of October, so we've still got one Monday in October. However, we're not going to be doing a Making It Monday next week. We're going to have a night off, and we're going to give you a night off. So and we'll all look forward to seeing each other then. Hi Lynn, hi, in a couple of weeks. But that's not yet. That's not yet, so don't go away yet. It's not over. So hello Elaine and Melba. There's some people coming in now, so that's really lovely. And there's a little banner on my phone to tell me that I'm live, which is, was always useful, as if I didn't know really. So yes, so tonight we're going to make Ember. And Ember is, I am quite proud of her. She is lovely and she's hiding at the moment. I don't think you can see her very well. I'm just going to update my computer for a minute so that I can see what I'm seeing in the big world instead of in the little one of my phones now. Oh, I always do that. I forget to turn it off mute. I'm so sorry. You'd think I've learned by now, wouldn't you? But I don't. So you've had nice slow rain, have you, Donna? Well, there you go. We've had fits and starts of rain all over the weekend, and yet it's been, all the time, on and off, but all the time. So yeah, so it's lovely to see everybody coming in. There's quite a lot of people in now. So as I was saying, Ember is hiding at the moment. So yeah, I haven't quite got her in shot, have I? So I'll bring her forward. Oh, there she is. So there she is. She's too far forward now. I'll take her back a little bit. This, by the way, is my friend Mavis. She helps me out in the craft room, and she's quite quiet most of the time. But when she has a complaint, everybody knows about it. But since I gave her this, she's very happy wearing this, and no complaints at all. So this is Ember. This is our reversible scarf. So I'll just show you what happens. So underneath there's a little strap or tuck or tab or strip or whatever that you tuck one end into, and the other end folds over. If you want to, of course, let me bring it down just a touch so I can undo that. If you want to, of course, you can just use it like that, or you can pop that up there. It's up to you how you wear it really. But the lovely thing about Ember is that it's fully reversible. So we've got this beautiful fleece on the wrong side, if it's the wrong side. And we've got, she won't tuck down now, will she? And we've got this beautiful cotton on the outside. So obviously, because of the time of year and everything, I've made this in Halloween fabric, which is not what I'm going to do tonight. There's only so much in a jelly roll, and I think I've used an awful lot of it. So I'm going to take it off there, and we'll put Mavis out of the way, because she is a little bit of a liability. She's likely to fall over. So I've popped her out of the way. So this is our Ember, and you can see there's a strip there that you tuck it into and pop it around your neck. So fully reversible, lovely cotton on the outside, and beautiful fleece lining. So everybody catered for. So if you're going trick-or-treating next weekend, make one of these to go with you, and you know that you're going to be warm enough. So I'm going to put her to one side. Is everybody okay? Diana says, what an amazing pattern. Thank you, Diana. That's really kind of you to say so. I like it, and I had fun making it, and it's such an easy project that any of you will be able to make it easy peasy. So, and yeah, beautiful colours. Thank you, Sue. Yeah. So I'm going to put the phone down so that you can see what I'm doing, and then we'll get on and shall we do some sewing? Pop that over there. Bear with me while I stand up and lean over. That's the last you'll see of me for a little while, so that's a relief. Right. If you can tell me how that view is, and if it's all right for you, we can make a start. I can see on my laptop here, but it's a little bit. So you can see Mavis. She sat there with me. You can see her. She likes to be with me. She's usually kind of up there somewhere. So there we are. So tonight I've got some absolutely gorgeous, look at this, some gorgeous purple fleece. It's just so soft. Now, usually with fleece and with the orange fleece that I've used for Ember there, you don't always get a right and wrong side, but I don't know whether you can see this has definitely got a right and wrong side. Now, which is which, I don't suppose really makes any difference. This is the smooth side and this is the more fluffy side, so it really doesn't make any difference. So I've cut that out ready. I've got my little pom-pom trim. Do you know, I bought purple pom-poms, but they were awful. They didn't look nice at all. So we're having white ones on the bottom of here. And then I've got all my fabrics cut out. So you can see that I've got the strips of fabric. If you've got the pattern in front of you, if you haven't downloaded it, there's still time to download it and have a look at it, even tonight. But you can do that afterwards and we'll go through it now. So I've got my strips of fabric ready to sew together, and this here, I've said on the pattern to actually have one strip that's a long strip, and because I had some left over from this, I didn't want to waste it, so I've got a short one. So if you've got two shorter ones and you want to join them in the middle, that's absolutely no problem at all. You can join them in the middle. And in fact, I'm going to go a little bit awry from the pattern. It doesn't really matter which way you do things, but I am going to go a little bit awry from the pattern, and I'm going to sew the strip. We're going to call it a tuck-in tab. For the want of a better name for it, that was all I could think of. So it's our tuck-in tab, so that we're going along with the pattern. So what I've done is I've put those right sides together. If it was one long strip, you just fold it in half. And then we're going to sew down both long sides, and we're going to sew along there, obviously, because mine isn't folded. If you have got a long strip and you're folding it, you don't need to sew the other end. Does that make sense? So if you've got one long strip and this end is your fold, don't worry about sewing the other end. I'm going to sew up here, across there, down there, and if you've got one long strip, you'll just sew the two long sides. So let's get on with it. So let's have a little look what I've got on the machine. That's all right. We're all set up, and we're set up to go. So the actual length, the actual seam allowance for this is not particularly important as long as it's consistent. You don't want a very narrow tab, but you don't necessarily need a very wide one either. It will sit flat if it's a little bit narrower. So now you can't see my machine very well because the lights are not good at all. I don't even know where they are on this machine. I'm going to have a look to see if I can put something over it for you. But this is just straight stitching down the three sides. I hope you can hear me over the top of the machine as well. It's not like my Juki. Okay. And it does have a tendency sometimes to clog up the threads at the back and cause a bit of a bird's nest. So I've taken to using a leader for it. So there's our bit all sewn together, and we're now going to turn it through. So this is a little bit fiddly. If you've got one of the prim turning tools, it's absolutely ideal for this. I have got one, a little set of 3 different sizes, and of course I've not seen it since I've changed rooms. I don't know where it is, but you know, it's safe, but I don't know where. So that's gone through pretty well. Just going to turn my iron on now. Press those, push those seams out as much as you can to get them nice and nice and square. It doesn't really matter because we're going to cut it off, but you just need the seams to be nice and square. Let's push that in. Bring my mat in. So roll your seams so that you get the full width of your fabric turned out the right way instead of having a pleat at the sides. And we'll give this a little press. So give it a little roll in your fingers. It's usually when it's warmer it's a little easier because it actually sticks to your fingers a little bit. I absolutely adore this fabric. The colours are just so gorgeous. So I think this this little neck wrap, this little ember, will have to be for me, I think. What do you think? Do you think it should be for me, or should I give it away? That's all right. No worries about being late because of family. Family comes first. So, yeah. Could the tuck-in tab be reversed to the pattern side? Yeah, fold it the other way. It's totally reversible. You can put 2 tuck-in tabs in if you want to. Really doesn't matter. All right, so that's the tab done. We've got a raw end there, and you would have a raw edge there possibly as well, or a fold, or whatever you do to do it. Then we've got our 4 strips. I've chosen the order that I'm going to do them in, so that's the order that I'm going to have them. I've got some salt batiks in there with my fabric, so that's what I'm going to do. And all we're going to do is to sew down the long edges. So line them up so you don't waste any fabric. And these I've cut myself, but obviously if you're using a jelly roll or design roll or whatever you want to call it, then you'll have self edges on. I'm going to sneeze. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry, please excuse me. Yours will have self edges on, and you can just cut those off when you've finished. So I'm going to whiz down here. I've put in the pattern to sew these together in pairs because I have no idea of the science, but it does stop them bending if you put them in pairs and then put them together. I don't really mind about science so long as it looks good. That's all that matters in the end. That it looks good and you like it. So what have you all been doing today? Have you had a busy Monday? I expect some of you have been to work. Thank you, Elaine. Bless me. Thank you very much. And Kathleen, Christine. Yeah, I don't know. I've been getting the sneezes a little bit lately, but I think it's you'll say it's too late for hay fever, but there's something there that doesn't agree with me. I haven't got a cold. And I am going to say it because I don't believe in fate particularly. Well, perhaps I do. But I haven't got a cold. And I don't get colds very often, in fairness. I don't have time to have a cold. So those of you who haven't been at work, have you been sewing? I'm just having a quick look at your, have you been sewing, or have you been doing housework or shopping? I really do need to go shopping. But once I get in my craft room and start working, I don't have time. I don't have the inclination either. So that's one of the pairs sewn together. So we'll leave that one side for a minute, and then I'll turn these right sides together, and we'll sew down the other one, and then we'll pop the pair together. I'm going to stitch the. I'm going to press the seams open so that it reduces the bulk and everything. You don't want a bulky scarf at the front. You don't want to feel those seams if you can help it. So you went to a new quilt group, Kathy. Oh, lovely. Yeah, planting pansies. I said the very same thing to my friend today. I really do need to get some winter pansies for my front garden. It's just having the time, isn't it, sometimes? So we've had a lovely time in October, haven't we, doing all these lovely things for Halloween. We've had Bessie, beautiful bag to take to put your trick or treat things in, and then we had the lovely Dee, so you could take your keys along and just pop those in your Bessie, and a bit of cash in case you need it. And then we had what did we have after that? I can't remember now. Gosh, my memory. Somebody tell me what we had after we had Dee. Was that Tallulah? Yes, it was Tallulah. So that was really lovely, wasn't it? Gorgeous little purse to put your coins in once all your treats have dried up. And we've got you all dolled up with Ember so that you don't get cold when you're out with children. So I think that was a pretty good month, don't you? I think that was a pretty good month. So we can open those out. I'm going to press them in a minute. And then we can sew these two pairs together. So just gone down the one long side. You see, I'm not used to using a leader, and I've abandoned it straight away, haven't I? So it's not going to do me very much good. Sewing bee this morning. Wee bit of shopping this afternoon. Have you been into Glasgow, Pauline? I love Glasgow. My son lives not far from there, and I love the shopping in Glasgow. I love going into the city. So we've had a good month pattern-wise. And if you haven't bought the digital pass for October, you still can get it. So don't think you've got to do without the other patterns, or you've got to pay for them all individually. If you go onto the website, you can buy the October pass and buy all 4 of them for £3. How good is that? What a bargain. What a bargain. All that fun we've had. All that sewing we've done and fun we've had and gifts we've made. I just think it's fantastic. And of course, if you're a gold member, they're all included in your membership. Wow. Doesn't come better than that. And everything's gone up so much now, you can't buy anything for £6.95. You can't even have a couple of coffees. Never mind a sticky bun. I think somebody's asking, who's going to make Ember? Well, I think you should all make one. I think you should put all your photographs and flood the page with photographs of Ember. Flood the Making It Monday page. And then that'll bring a smile to everybody's face, won't it? It'll be fabulous. And I guarantee, if you all make one and you all put it on, how many are there of us? 150. If you all put them on the website, all the pictures, all the embers would look totally different. And I love seeing what fabrics other people have used and what they've done to the patterns and things. It's just lovely. Okay, pop that out of the way a minute, and we've got a couple of minutes here where we really do have to press these, because it makes a big difference. So I don't know what you all do, and I don't think there's a right and wrong way, but when I'm pressing seams open, I tend to press them from the back first and pull it so that the seams go to one side, and then they're so much easier to open. So can you see what I've done? I've pushed it towards me, and then just pop your fingers in and push the one half of it away from you, and it seems to go much better for me. You do have to press them from the front then, because you don't want to get pleats in them, so you have to double check. But this is a long, laborious process, really. Well, relatively speaking, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that long. But it does need to be done. And so I hope you bear with me while I do these. And then what we will do is we will trim them down. Now, I'm daring to say that even though you will have cut out your fleece when you start this, it doesn't really matter the size as long as it's not bigger than the fleece. So when we trim this, I'm not even going to measure it. It really doesn't matter. We'll trim the fleece to the measurement of the scarf, because if that scarf is an inch longer or an inch shorter, it really doesn't matter. So you press your seams all going one way for a minute, and then pop your finger in, or if you've got a magic seam presser, what is it called? A magic seam wand. A magic seam wand. I have, and it's over there. It is good, but I always forget, and my fingernails seems to do probably not as great a job, but it'll do for me. So we're opening the seams flat. It's not going to take very many minutes, I promise. You can talk among yourselves, or you can tell me a joke. I promise to laugh. Somebody's asking if I go to... Oh, Jackie, do you go to Lee's factory shop? I've never been to Lee's factory shop. Where's that, Jackie? That's obviously in Scotland. Are you talking with Pauline? I tell you what, I had a lovely time at the quilt show yesterday in Malvern. I went with 4 of my friends, and we kind of split up and got together, you know, because you do for coffees and lunch and coffee and cake and all that kind of thing. But there were some fabulous things there. Had a chat with Kim Porter, and if you're familiar with the Kim kits that Lizzy has from Kim Porter, we call them lovingly the Kim kits, because she does them solely for Lizzy, not for anybody else, and they are just gorgeous. They're all reclaimed fabrics and things, or all vintage lace and beautiful flannel, and just gorgeous. And so she was at the quilt show yesterday, and well, I just had to spend all the money, didn't I? Because you never know, I might not see her again for ages, and then I will have missed out, and I don't like missing out. So I did spend far too much money, but you know, that's why we have it. That's why we have it. Somebody said to me today, oh, well, you can have beans on toast now for the rest of the week. And I said, well, no, we just won't have any beans. We'll just have the toast. As long as I've got some lovely fabric, I can just fondle. That's all we need. So have you bought any purchases recently that I must have? Because if you have and you think I'm going to love them, you have to let me know. Because I have to have it all, and I have to have it now. I'm not really like that at all. I'm not a thing person. You know, I'm a people person rather than a things person, but I do like lovely fabric, don't we all? And you have to get what you can when you've got the chance. So we're nearly there. This one's being a little bit stubborn. Come on. And then I'm going to turn it over and just press from the other side. So how lovely is that? Look at those colours together, aren't they gorgeous? They're really nice. So just give these a good press from the front, because you don't want any pleating. As I said, you want these seams to be really lovely and flat. I expect there's a rule about which side you should iron first and all that kind of thing, but you know, I don't always follow the rules. I'm loving open seams at the moment, Lizzy's saying, and yeah, I tend to agree with her. I think it's just so flat, especially if you put a little bit of best press or a little bit of starch or whatever you use. Really, there's no right and wrong about that either. They just sit so gorgeously, really nice. And of course, you've got your clapper if you want to use that. If you don't know what a clapper is, look it up. And why haven't you got one? Okay, so you can see here that these are not quite, because the fabric wasn't the same width, or I cut it wrongly, or it doesn't really matter. But they're not the same, so I'm going to cut them. Now, in order to cut these nice and straight, the line on the ruler there, I'm going to put that over one of the seams. And when I look, all the other seams are really nicely lined up with the ruler. And if I could only find my, oh, here we go, my rotary cutter, I can cut them off knowing that I've got that edge really nice and straight. And we'll have a look at, I moved my bin earlier, it's on the wrong side. You can have a look at this edge as well and just do a sliver off this edge to make sure that that's nice and straight as well. And those seams are lining up as well. Oh, haven't done a bad job there. You know, I can do it sometimes. So, there we have our front. Easy peasy. Now what we're going to do is to take our fleece, and I think I'm going to have this longer side, more fluffy side, as my right side. So if I can just show you this. These have been put right sides together, this fabric and this fabric. And so what we want, and then turned through, so we've now got them wrong sides together. So what we want is for the strip to be on the right side of this fabric. Now, if you want to do this differently, you carry on. You can do whatever you wish, and if you want this in a different place, absolutely fine. But this is the way that I've done it. So we've got our tab, strip, whatever you want to call it, going at an angle down there. So what the pattern says is to measure roughly 1.5 inches from the bottom, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. It's not an exact science, so don't worry about it. And then we need to measure up the top as well. So you've got all the measurements on the pattern. So have a little look at that. And then we're going to place that across there. And this just about goes in there. I think these were slightly shorter because they were the ends of my fabric. So what I'm going to do, so what you can see is that I've put the pins in the right place. Okay. I've measured up from the bottom. I've measured up from the bottom here, and I've measured up from the bottom here. And then I'm going to just line up the pins. And there again, the angle doesn't really matter, and it's a very, very simple pattern. So I'm going to take my pin out and just pop that in there to hold. I could have, of course, had it up the other way, but there again, I quite like it this way. And there we have it. So what I'll do now is I will just baste on my machine with a larger length stitch, about 1/8 of an inch from the edges, so that this remains in place and I don't have to worry about it flapping about or doing its own thing when I'm sewing everything together. So I'll bring this in again. How are we looking for time? It's only 7:30. We've got loads of time, haven't we? If you want to do it from the other side, you do it from the other side, because at least you can see what you're doing. But you can see that I've caught that in there. Can you all see that? And then we're going to trim that off. So this time I'll go the other side for you so you can see. Don't worry, I'm not going over my pin, it's a long way away. Okay, so there we are. We have those basted on. I'll just take away those, snip away those little bits of threads so it'll all stick to this fleece. By the way, on the pattern, you'll see that there's a part that says resources. So if anybody wants to know where we got things from, have a look in there first, because that will probably help you. So we have our tab on, that's all we need to attach it. And then we're just going to snip it off flush with the fleece along the side. Okay, so that's the fleece ready. The next thing we're going to do is to pop on the trim. Now the trim is going to go into the seams. You can see with this one it just sticks out about 1/8 of an inch, and it doesn't matter if you have it sticking out 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch, it really doesn't make much difference. So with the pom-pom trim, I am going to fold this over and fold it over again. Now this pom-pom trim is a little bit elasticated, a tiny little bit. So if yours is the same as that, some of the one that I used on the black one, it had bigger pom-poms, which I rather like. I would have preferred this to be bigger, but never mind, that's what came. And 2, it wasn't elastic. So if you're thinking that yours is a little bit elastic, we just need to be careful that we don't overstretch it. So I folded it in by about 1/4 of an inch and folded it in again. And I'm not going to put it right up to the edge. I'm going to leave it about 1/4 of an inch down, away from the side, not from the bottom, but from the side. All right. Oh, there's my Amazon parcel. They couldn't have picked a worse time, could they? They've made the dogs bark, and so I'm going to pop a little pin in there. And then I'm going to carefully, now if you want to put some quilter's tape in this, please do, because it will help you. I just don't know where mine is at the moment. Could be in the pocket here, might be. But you don't have to have it, so don't fret if you haven't got it. It will stay with some pins. So just put a few pins along. And then when we get to the other end, we need to trim it to the size that we want, remembering that we're going to stop about 1/4 of an inch away from there. Now, I haven't mentioned that in the pattern because I just wanted you to see it made. And it doesn't matter if you go all the way along, but it makes it a little bit easier because then we don't get the bobbles stuck in the side seam, because that's not what we want. So I cut it off as close to that bobble as I can, do you see? So I've got a little bit of leeway. You see that? I think you can see. And then I'll turn it in by 1/4 of an inch and in by 1/4 of an inch again. I'm sorry that you can't see that as I'm doing it. Do you see what I've done? So that's in by 1/4 of an inch. And can't pick it up. And another 1/4 of an inch. And we've got it sort of exactly where we want it. And then we're going to baste those in place. I'm not going to put that pin in because I can hold it at the machine. So I'm going to baste that in place. and just go slowly. I've got my walking foot attachment on here because it's integral to my machine. If you've got a walking foot, it is quite a good idea to use it, because it does help when the fabrics get a bit bulky, or if they're a bit elasticated like this, a bit slippy. So I've got 1/4 inch from the end. It doesn't matter where I stitch from as long as I hold this down, so we can treat it as one fabric. And there again, like we did with the tab, we're just going to base this in place. There we go. Oh, it doesn't want to tuck in. If I had my stiletto handy, I would use that. But of course, it takes time to be. Tell you what, I've got my quick unpick. Let's see if I can hold it there in place. Takes time to be organised, doesn't it? That is in place, that's right. There we go. Push it through. Come on. Doesn't want to move. Right. That's well and truly sewn, that bit now. So I can move it down a little bit. Wow. There we go. Hurrah for quick unpicks, seam rippers, whatever you call them. And if it does tend to stretch a little bit, don't worry about it, because if this is a little bit wavy, it doesn't matter. They're going to sit wavy anyway. So, and if necessary, you can always fold over a little bit more at the end, like I will do there. Just want to tuck the raw edges in so that they're not seen from the outside, really. That's the only problem. Got somebody sending me messages. I can't even find my quick unpick now. There you go. That's as organised as they come. A longer pin. Roll it over. Come on. Be good. Okay, so that's not wanting to play, so I am going to get some quilter's tape I've just found in the drawer. Not in the drawer, in the pocket. And see if that will help. But you know it will, because it always does. So I'm going to put a bit under there. Oh, it's very dry. It's not doing very well at all, is it? Put a bit under there, stick it on. I don't quite know why that's coming up. Okay. Yeah, seam ripper. And then once you've... I'm sorry you can't see this very well because it's so fiddly. It's not difficult, it's just fiddly to keep them in place. Now that's stuck down, you see, I will go in front of it and I will go backwards. There we go. So there are your pom-poms put on. All we've got to do now is the other end. So this time we'll do it properly. We won't think we can get away with it. We'll put quilter's tape on up to about 1/4 inch. Pull off the paper, and this time I'm just going to go up there in the middle, and then we'll sort out the ends. I'm going to put a little bit more on so we can fold it over and then you won't get bored watching me fiddle. So cut it off, and I'm sorry you probably can't see this, it is so small. Stick it down. Is everybody out? Is everybody okay? I can see somebody saying that they love my nail colour. Thank you. I thought I would go a little bit Halloween-y, and now it doesn't match the fabrics. But I don't mind. I don't mind. So cut that off. Take the paper off the back, and then, oh, that was much easier, wasn't it? I just hope my machine will like it now. If it doesn't like it at the beginning, there's my seam ripper. I'm going to go in a little bit and do what I did last time and reverse. Much better. I really should have done it properly the first time, shouldn't I? Yes, seam ripper is a very good friend. There we go. And then we've got our trim on the other side. So now we can put this together. We're going to be finished early, folks. Well, that's not such a bad thing, is it? You can go and have your evening session. So you can see that this I've cut larger than the front. I'm putting these right sides together, and you can see that this is larger because that's how I cut it. I'm tucking those pom-poms well in, so we don't want to catch those. And I'm going to use the fabric as my guide for stitching round. So then once I've stitched round, I can then trim it off. All we need to do is to place this carefully so that we don't get any folds or ripples in it, because you can do that. It's a very long piece, and if you don't secure it down now, so it's the one time that I really do use a fair amount of pins so that I make it. I know you can't see the end here, I'm just pulling it, not tugging at it, but I'm just pushing it to the right place and smoothing it down. You can see where I mean, just here, smoothing it all down. And then I'm going to put in some pins. You don't have to put millions of pins in, but every 3 or 4 inches I'm going to put a pin, just because I can, really, and it makes it a little bit easier. If when you come down when you're sewing your seam, you find that it is starting to move, because as I said, the fleece can stretch. If you find that it's starting to move, then stop sewing, readjust and start again. Doesn't matter if you have a break in the seam, because you just sew over where you start again, you just sew over where you've been already, and that will be fine. What we do want to do is to leave a turning gap, and we want to leave it in one of the long edges rather than in a short edge. So you can see there now I'm trying to smooth it down as much as possible so that this doesn't move. And if you have got a walking foot, it's a very, very good idea to use it. Now, it's not my scarf that's not straight, it's the cutting of my fleece that's not straight. We don't need it any bigger, just gives us a bit of margin for error. So just a few pins down along there, and then I'm going to pin. Now, what I was going to say was, when we come to the, where's the end with the, okay, I'm going to take those all out and start again, because rookie error, you can see what I've done. I've started on that end and I needed to start on the end with the tab on it, because this piece is too long. So learn from my mistake and start at the end that has the tab on it. So right sides together. Let's start again. And don't worry that you're cutting off some of the tab, because it only needs to be the size of your scarf. It doesn't need to be bigger or anything like that. So tuck those well in, and we're going to pin it. Take 2. There you are. You're getting value for money tonight, because you're getting twice the instruction. How's that for a bargain? What are you guilty of not doing, Jackie Thomas? Oh, quilter's tape. Of course, if you wanted to be extravagant with your quilter's tape, you could quilter's tape this all the way down instead of pinning. But I'm going to pin. Right. Here we go then. As if you needed a second lesson in pinning, you've got one anyway. Because then when we do the other end, we'll trim that off. But we don't trim the end off with your tab on it. That's why I don't like pins, because they do get you. They will get you whatever you do. Smooth those seams down so it's really nice and flat. Take a little bit of time here, because it does make a world of difference. You don't want it puckering and going skewiff. Skewiff scarves. We don't want that. We want straight scarves. And on this side, over here, a bit further up from where you've got your tab, I'm going to put either different colour pins or double pins, so that I remember my turning gap. And it doesn't have to be huge. I'm going to leave about 4 or 5 inches. But there we are. Is everybody all right? Somebody giving me angry faces. Oh, I don't know. I don't need angry faces. I need nice, pleasant faces. I know you don't mean it. I hope you don't mean it. Okay, so we've got it all nicely flat together. And as I say, when you're stitching round, if you find that it's moving, stop, readjust, and start again. You will find that if you want to use instead of a walking foot, you want to use your zipper foot, because these bobbles are right up close. But they will move out of the way, so just make sure you tuck them well in. They are long enough for you to use your ordinary foot, and so if you're using your zipper foot, I mean, I'm lucky I can use my zipper foot and my walking foot. I'm not going to tonight, I'm just going to use the walking foot, but you choose, have a little play and see which does best for you. I'm going to put a leader on again this time, so that if it gets caught, I can give it a bit of gentle persuasion from this side. That's better. So we're going to use 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're going to go all the way around. I've picked a slightly longer stitch length, because when you've got the bulk of fabric, I do apologise. I am so sorry. Somebody tried to ring me. What was I saying? If you use a slightly longer stitch length, then it tends to prevent your machine from skipping stitches. So So use the edge of your, whoops, use the edge of your front fabric, if you like, to guide you down the seams. If you are using a zipper foot, it'll be more difficult to judge, but it's all swings and roundabouts, really. Now, the orange fabric that I used, the orange fleece, was given to stretching a little bit more than this one, it would seem, because I had to stop a couple of times and readjust it, but this one seems a little bit better. So this is my turning gap. It's probably far too long. And then we've nearly finished. It's 10 to 8. So when you come down to the bottom, tuck those pom-poms in again. Now, if you don't want to use pom-pom trim, you know the rules. There are no rules. So if you don't want to use pom-pom trim, you don't need to use it. You can use something else. You could put a bit of lace on. You could leave it as it is. Really isn't a problem. But they are much better behaved if you have basted them. So don't skip that step unless you're very confident. This one's tucked up. That's it. Go down. Huh. Do you need a ballpoint needle, please? No, you don't, Kathy. You don't need a ballpoint needle. I've got just a very ordinary needle in here. Doesn't seem to make any difference with. I'm going off the edge there as well, so I can come back on, so I know it's secure. Doesn't seem to make any difference, because although it's a bit like wadding, it's not stretchy in itself, but it will stretch if you're not careful with it. So it's not actually a sort of stretchy fabric, but if you want to use a ballpoint needle, then you go for it. That's not a problem at all. Now that was a little bit skimpy there, so I'm going to go over and double check that in a bit, make sure that I've got it, caught it all underneath. And if I haven't, it's not a problem, we just go back over it. This is a scarf, it's not got to fit anybody. It just goes around your neck. Nearly done. So the lesson really is to cut your fleece a little bit bigger. I've put the proper size on the pattern, but it does make life a little bit easier if you cut it bigger. Well, I think I've actually added a little bit on, but not a great deal. But I added about an inch on here, or an inch and a half. Okay, so where's my scissors? There it is. So we've sewn all the way down, all the way around the four edges and left a turning gap in the one side. Okay, it will be a lovely warm scarf. It's going to be great, isn't it? And I'm not a coat person. I hate coats. I do have to wear them now and again when it's raining and when it's very cold, but I don't like them. So if I can get away with a jumper in the winter. Okay, so I am going to, I think you can see there, I'm going to trim that off. And I'm going to stand up for the other bit. I do apologise if I'm not showing you a very good angle. We'll push this away as we've finished sewing for that now. and we'll go right down this side and trim off that fleece. And you'll see that obviously that tab is caught in the seams now, so you can quite easily trim that off as well. So there's my tab, my tuck-in tab. You've got a fleece blanket in your motorhome. Could use that as not very thick. Well, yeah, you could. That would be good recycling, reusing, refashioning, whatever you want to call it. That would be brilliant, wouldn't it? I do love a bit of fleece. I used to be a very cold, I was going to say cold person. I don't mean cold-hearted. I mean, I used to feel the cold ever such a lot when I was younger, and thinner, that's probably what it was. But these days I don't feel the cold so much now, but I do love a little bit of fleece. So there we go. We are all stitched up, as you say. Now find my turning gap. I know I left one, and if I didn't, it wouldn't be the end of the world, because I could open up the seam. There we go. Trim off those bits, get rid of some of these bits. And 4 minutes to go. Now, if you want to trim off these corners, you can cut a little bit away. Don't go too near your stitches, but you can cut a little bit away. So I'm going to look at them as I turn them through, and if I think they're a bit bulky, I'll trim them off, because there again, you've got your, what am I trying to say? You've got your pom-pom trim in there as well, so you've got a little bit more bulk in the corners. And then we've turned through. Find my pokey tool. And you'll see there's a tiny little bit of the trim coming through, and the pom-poms have come out as well. So there they are, look. It's fine, you can see them against the purple almost better than you can against the other side. I was very disappointed when they were the wrong purple. I kind of knew they would be, but I was still disappointed. Come on. There they are. But I do like the white, because there's white in the there's white in this fabric here, and there's white in the fabrics on the front, so I rather like that. And then you will give this a very good press. Doesn't matter if you can see the lining. I think sometimes that's rather nice. It's just a scarf. If it was a neckline of a dress, you wouldn't want to see it, but it's not. And then you have your turning gap here. So I'm just going to finger press that for a minute. And I promise I will sew that up, but I won't promise when. Now there isn't any need to top stitch. And in fact, I think if you top stitched it would spoil it, because you wouldn't be able to stop some of this showing, and then in other places it wouldn't show, etc., etc. So I think if you top stitched it, you would spoil it. But that's only my opinion. It's not written in stone. If you want to top stitch it, you can, and then you've actually closed your turning gap as well. I'm trying to get to my ironing mat, because I'm very guilty of, especially when I've got some thick fabrics, of ironing without my ironing mat. Please don't tell anybody. Wanda says, thank you for a great project and demonstration. Well, you're very welcome, and thank you very much. You're very welcome. I am going to forget my turning gap, and I'm going to put this on. I've got a thread there that's come from something else. I don't know what it is. I've twisted it. I'm going to poke the camera up so you can see. Oh, that's a little bit too high. Oh, 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 I've dropped you. Oh my goodness, I'm breaking up the happy home here. I do apologise. And then I can tuck it in. And there it is. Done. There we go. What do you think? Do you think I look absolutely wonderfully beautiful now? No, no, I didn't think it would make that much of a difference. But yes, so soft, so fleecy, and so pretty, I think. And then if we pop it on the other way, there we go, stylish. Do you think it looks nice? You going to make one? Who's going to make one? Is everybody going to make one? Are you going to give me all my wishes all at once and put so many photos on Facebook that it tells us we can't stay? No, that it throws us out. But no, I'd love to see, if you make one, I would love to see all your photos, and yeah, tell me who you've made them for and what you're going to do with them. But thank you for your lovely comments. It's been really nice to see the comments, and people are saying that it's gorgeous and that I'm going to make one. And yeah, so you never know. I might even give this one away to somebody deserving. You never know. You never know. So that's it. That's Ember. She's our Making It Monday A41. Can you believe it? We've only got, like, I don't know, 7 weeks to Christmas, 6 weeks to Christmas, something like that. And we'll be at the end of the year again. So there we are. Lovely to see you tonight. What have I got to tell you? Go and download your pattern. Make sure you save it to your device. If you're not a Gold Group member, tell me why not. No, if you would like to become a Gold Group member, there's lots of benefits to that, and you can do that via the website, you know that. If you've bought the October pass, you can buy the digital pass, you can buy the November digital pass. Oh, we have a black cat crossing our path. That's very good luck, especially when it's your own cat. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time now for Making It Monday. If you are a Gold member, Lizzy will be here on Thursday, and then in a fortnight's time, on a Monday, the first Monday in November, Lizzy will be here with the next MIM, the first one in November. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Feet up. If you can't put your feet up, cut your fabric out to make your Ember. And thank you very much. Bye-bye for now. Bye.